Good day, ladies and gentlemen. It's Coffin. I'm speaking here from the January 2020 Metal Investors Forum in Vancouver. I'm here with Stephen Mann. He's the managing director of Lion One Metals. My readers will certainly be familiar with it. I followed Lion One for several years now. Lion One has a gold project in Fiji called Tuvatu. The main, I guess you want to call it that, the main lode at Tuvatu, you've brought as far as a PEA, but then in the last couple of years, you've shifted focus. I know you put a lot of effort into getting the surrounding tenements, which I know is a long and drawn out process, but you do have them now. Those have given you coverage of most of the caldera that Tuvatu occupies. The current Tuvatu resource occupies a tiny part of. We've seen a lot more interest and excitement. Your market cap's gone up quite a bit. You just raised $10 million. And partially this was based, I guess, on a bit of a change in strategy, I suppose. Can you walk the viewers through what changed with Lion One in the last year? Like what's different now between where you were a year ago, say?
Well, certainly 2019, there was some major changes in Lion One. We acquired a drilling company to carry out our work. It means we can carry out cost-effective exploration. We built our own geochemical laboratory, which is a world-class laboratory, so we don't have to send samples to Australia. But I guess one of the significant changes was, as you mentioned, getting the rest of the caldera. So we used to have about a third of it. Now we have the whole caldera, which is about 7 kilometres in diameter, plus the adjacent ground, which is still quite mineralised. On top of that, Quinton Hennig came and joined us as a consultant around the middle of the year or early in the year. And Quinton, his experience in particular alkaline systems and alkaline gold systems is invaluable. We knew we had an alkaline system. We knew they were alkaline rocks. That was very clear. But we didn't really know the significance of the alkaline gold systems on a global basis.
Right.
One thing that Quinton made it clear was that, and we all knew, there's many of these alkaline systems around the world, but it's only about 8 of them that are mineralised, properly mineralised, we say plus 1 million ounces or thereabouts. Okay. And the other 7 are all held by majors.
Right.
Tuvatu is a significant alkaline system, as big as all of the other ones, big as Lihir, Porgera, Cripple Creek, etc., as far as the caldera size. Right. Very poorly explored. And it's the only one held by a junior. So I think that realisation of the type of the system and obtaining the additional tenement holding in the area has made the big difference. And we've been able to accelerate our exploration. Now we have the whole project area, the whole tenement area, the whole caldera. And
right now, I know you're in the midst of currently anyway, 4-hole deep drill program. What's your objective with that, and then where do you go once you've got those 4 holes delivered? What's next?
Well, we know that Tuvatu itself is just a little part of the whole mineralised strike of, say, 7 kilometres of the caldera. Right. We know it's mineralised from one end to the other. We have probably a dozen showings of visible gold on the surface. We have 30 or 40 prospects with plus 4 or 5 grams at least of the prospects, but Tuvatu itself is about 600 or 800 metres long. There's about 40 lodes existing in Tuvatu, nearly all very steeply dipping, but the mineralisation is still open at depth and it's still open along strike. With these alkaline systems, one of the important things and why they become such large world-class deposits is that they go down not just 300 or 400 or 500 metres, but they go down a kilometre, 2 kilometres. Okay. So at the very bottom of our current drilling, we have very significant results. So we decided we'd look at some of these, try and hit some of these feeder structures, these very high-grade feeder structures at depth. The whole results released just before Christmas highlighted that. We're currently on the 2nd hole. So we will have some good holes and we'll have some average holes, I'm sure. But the whole idea is to intersect some of these feeder structures at depth, which are these bonanza ones that make the Porgeras, Lahirs, Cripple Creeks, etc. We've got 4 holes planned at the moment, but we've actually got 20 holes planned. So we will just see how each one goes, and The intention is we'll be drilling all year. We're going to crank up our drilling, both at Tuvatu and some of the regional projects.
Do you think you'll bring another rig on? I mean, how many rigs did you get when you bought this drilling company?
We had one surface rig that can drill down to about 1,500 metres in HQ, so HQ or PQ, so that's a very good rig.
Yeah.
And we had one underground rig.
Okay.
We've just going to double shifting our surface rig, but we're also making a lot of inquiries about the potential of getting other rigs. There's not other rigs available in Fiji, so they need to come from Australia, New Zealand, Canada, or somewhere else.
Right. Okay. And so Tuvatu. One thing to understand about Tuvatu, and it's what about seven? Correct me if I'm wrong, which I probably will be. It's about 700,000 ounces, like the existing resource.
There's 900 at a 1 gram cut. There's 930,000 ounces at 5.7.
Now those loads is important for people to recognize. They are now, in fact, on a mining permit. It's essentially a fully permitted site. I think it's plain from the fact that it's fully permitted, or at least I hope it is, that you got pretty good relationships with the Fiji government. What is this change in strategy? Where does that leave the Tuvatu sort of mining effort? Do you just kind of step back, do this exploration, decide what you're going to do? Is there pressure for you to just kind of push forward with production? Because that's where the jobs are going to be after all. What's the sense locally?
Well, we hope, in my eyes, we've got a two-prong attack. Many people, many of the big companies who have been to see us, and many of the real experts around the world have come in the last year or so and have highlighted the fact that they think this is a very large project. A lot of them have said 10 to 20 million ounces. We'll see what happens there, of course.
Yeah.
What we'd like to do is maybe not prove up that amount, but highlight and demonstrate that it is a very large system. At the moment, we believe it is. We've got evidence that it is, but we need to do a lot more drilling. So we want to crank up the drilling. We want to demonstrate that it is a big system, maybe increase the resources and the reserves, maybe double or whatever the case may be, but demonstrate that it is going down 1,000, 1,500 metres, demonstrate that some of the other prospects are very significant. But at the same time, you're right, we are fully permitted. We could start mining tomorrow as far as the permit goes.
Right.
And the government is very keen on us to mine, and very, very supportive. We would like to be in a position sometime during this coming year to be raising some more funds to put at least a small operation into production. That'll give us the opportunity to get underground, to mine this system, which is generally narrow vein, it's steeply dipping, to look at it in the third dimension. There is an underground decline there at the moment from back in 2000 when a previous feasibility was done. But to be able to get in there, start mining just without the pressure of really mining there, and at the same time be cranking up exploration, and then ultimately upgrade the mill, being aware that we're going to upgrade it, and upgrade the mill in the future when we start defining a significantly larger resource.
Yeah, because presumably if this is Tuvatu is what we all hope it is, the scale of the mining operation you want to be doing is a lot bigger than the mill I know you had planned.
Yes.
Okay, so that would just be kind of stage one, as it were.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And it gives us the experience of mining this sort of thing. We have a very experienced workforce in Fiji, which is great. One of the oldest mines in the South Pacific, being Vancouver.
Right.
Over 7 million ounces have been mined, 4 million ounces are still there. But many, many miners leave Fiji because there's not the jobs. They're working in Australia, they're working in Southeast Asia and other places. A lot of those miners want to come back, so we can get a very experienced workforce and a cheap workforce. We're talking about just a very, very fraction of the cost you would pay a miner in Australia or North America.
Okay, so basically where things stand now is Lion One has essentially got a fully permitted resource. If you take a look on their website, I think it's not very hard to find the numbers from the PEA. The PEA valuation, pretty much underpins most of the current market value. But in addition to that, you've got this change in strategy where they're going after proving that Tuvatu's got the potential to be, a 5 or 10 million ounce world class scale Alkaline system. And I should note that they put out the first drill hole from those 4 holes, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago, and that was a pretty good hole. You had several nice intercepts in it, so that's a pretty good start. And I guess the second or third one, they're coming fairly soon, I guess.
We haven't finished the second hole yet because we're in the wet season, and we're also the Christmas break. Even though we were working, they did have some breaks, but we're around 700 metres down in this hole. We've got the assay results for the first 400 odd metres. We would hope we'd get a few results from that first 400 metres in the next week out, but we weren't expecting too much in that top 400 metres anyway, because we're really looking at 100, 150 metres below that previous hole.
Right.
And so that's still to come.
And you're taking this one down to 1,000 metres, right?
Approximately 1,000 metres, yes.
It's exciting times for Line 1. You take a look at their chart, you'll see they've gained a great deal of attention in the last little while. This is a story I've liked for a long time. I've always been a fan of Stevens and Wally. Wally Barracott's a great guy, and I've also I'm a longtime friend and very fond of Quentin. And it was pretty interesting for me. I have to say, the combination of Wally and Quentin was one I didn't see coming, but it's a pretty good combination. You can see how it's really turned around the market, and I think Line 1's going to be a very exciting story here over the next year or two as they work on proving up this much larger mineralized system at Tuvatu. LIO on Vancouver. What's the symbol? Do you know what the symbol is? OTC. The US symbol is LOLMF.
Yes.
Yeah, and you also have an Australian listing too, right?
LLO in
LLO
Australia.
in Australia. There you go, triple listing. Line 1 metals. Thanks very much, Stephen.
Thanks, Eric.